I don't see him.
There was some guy that.
Stranger?
Just consultation.
Then after that, a month later.
Oh, jeez.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
John Clark,
Here.
Amanda Hunter. Here. Rick Robertson,
Here.
Joan David,
Here.
Nancy Conley. All present and accounted for.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Motion by Hunter, supported by Clark to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 5-0. Approval of, motion to approve the September minutes as presented. Well, hold it before we do that. There is an official board discussion paper that we're going to add to the September 7th special meeting and to our September 19 minutes. So when we approve the minutes, it will include the official township board decision on the High Cloud special use permit.
I thought that was only going on the September 7th minutes and then tonight's minutes, not the September 19th minutes.
Well, yeah, tonight's minutes, sorry about that. So the September 7th and then the tonight's.
Tonight's been a switch, because they're approving the September's, yes, you're right.
So a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved. Support.
Okay, motion by Robertson, supported by Clark to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, pass 41. Public comments on action items. Treasurer's report.
All right, so last month, we had a total cash available at the end of the month of, oh, I forgot to change the date up at the top. It should say 9/29. It says 8/31. I forgot to change that. So the total cash available as of 9/29/23 was $487,579.01. Our general fund balance had 1,900, excuse me, my brain is not functioning, $194,608 in it. Our general checking ended at $6,508.17, with outstanding checks of $5,985.28 for an end balance of $522.89. Our cannabis funds ended with a balance of $292,448.12. There was a $2.12 bank fees that I reached out to them regarding. Those have been reversed, so we will see those back in next month. The deposit breakdown looks a little funny because it's showing that the transfer from the cannabis funds went into the money market deposits. That's not extra money that came in, it's just because I had to transfer it from one bank account to another. If I'm matching my statement shows that we got $116,753.60 into the money market bank account. So that is why that is on there. Our actual total deposits for last month was $9,198.08. We earned $1,155.66 on the marijuana funds, and $1,552.07 on our general fund accounts. I'm trying to think if there was anything else.
On the refunds, rebates, and reimburse, I see there was 2 deposits from the state for marijuana medical. How did we never got anything like that before.
We got $6.60 last year.
Okay,
I don't understand why we're getting that, because it's the excise tax and we don't have,
a dispensary.
we don't have dispensaries. So I've reached out to them, nobody has contacted me back,
Okay.
from last year when we got the original amount. So I don't even know who to contact on that, but yes, it's because of the excise
That's
tax
what I
for
thought.
dispensaries that we don't actually have.
Okay, all right,
Why, I don't understand that.
no,
I think the state has issues in their system for that. I'm guessing someday when they figure all those kinks out, we're gonna end up having to pay that back.
probably.
Okay.
Okay, I got a question on debit card. Are you gonna raise that?
As
We have like 1,000.
we had some issues with the debit card. We normally keep, $1,140 in the, excess in the general fund checking account.
Right.
For debit card transactions, we really need to look at doing, well, I would say doing a credit card, instead of a debit card, so that we can pay it once, because, mine and Nancy's trial balances are off every month, and it's 100% solely because of the debit card transactions. Because if they hit my account last month, they go on my bank statement, but if they hit after the board meeting in that month, they will not actually show up on Nancy's statement. So because of the debit card transactions, we're always off, and that's not a good sign. So it's not that we're off, it's that we haven't caught back up. And whenever we use the debit card again, we're back in that same situation.
The problem with this month is because the state is making the clerks send a self-addressed stamped envelope.
Right.
And never had to do
Yeah,
that,
I
so,
And
so then you had to go to.
I underestimated the amount,
Yeah,
you know,
well,
it's my
it's
fault.
hard because you don't know how many absentee ballots you're
And
gonna
I
have.
ended up with
Well,
534 absentee ballot requested. I was shooting at maybe 250, 300.
Right, we had what, over 5?
534 plus I've gotten more in the last 2 weeks.
The benefit is that is reimbursable by the state. The state will reimburse us for all of that
It's just
cost, but it's just in
Right
the
now.
beginning, we have to
It's hard
front
to
that cost.
Keep track.
And so by fronting that cost and not knowing how much we needed, things got thrown off. So as long as we don't have any more, transactions on the debit card for the rest of the month, we should be back to balancing again next month. But that is just one thing that I like to bring up again, is a credit card policy and going to a credit card, because there are times when we need to do that. You know, when we need to go out and buy stamps, or we need to buy something online. For example, I needed to buy checks for, treasury stuff online. Had to use a debit card, because they're not gonna take an invoice for $83 in a place that I never use for something like that. So, I think it's beneficial to have something, but I do not believe a debit card is the right way to go. So, that's kind of the update on what happened there.
Okay.
Any other questions with the financial statement?
Supervisor's report, the fire board had their open house last Wednesday. They had a good turnout. There was almost 100, students that showed up. Mrs. Kammer's first grade class had the most students there, and so they won a pizza party. It was very well run, other than the fact that somehow keys were left in one of the trucks, so the kids had access to to one of the radios, and so they're like, "Hesperry, get off the line, get off." So that was fixed real quick, but it was kind of funny, but not. But and other than that, they had roughly 43 runs, and once again, most of them were were first responder runs. And, we've been really busy and had another MTA meeting that went really well. We'll have our next one, November 29th, and it's gonna be at the Greenwood, Hall this time. And we're gonna supply pizza there, so I'm having a meeting next Tuesday with the rest of the MTA board so we can do our final agenda as to who's coming in, because a lot of times we think that we know who's coming in and then something changes. So we do have somebody coming in and talking about voting again. And other than that, just watch your emails for when I send out the invite, that'll have the agenda on it and that. And also, I also wanted to mention that once again, in the highlights, Newfield News reports are going in there, and I just want people to know that it's not coming from the board, it's coming from people otherwise that the facts aren't in the ads that are in there. And so if anybody ever has any questions, make sure that you contact the board. And there was also a thing in there about the upcoming elections, and that's not coming from Newfield Township, that comes from the school, and that comes from the NC RISA Vocational Center, and they're the ones that run all that. And so if there's questions about that, people need to contact the school or vocational center. That's not something that the township's
For
doing.
millage questions.
What's that?
For millage questions.
Yes, for millage questions, correct. Yeah. All right, business items, auditor.
Correspondence.
Oh, did I forget correspondence? Sorry, correspondence.
Okay. I have a letter, we received a letter from Mr. Draper. He left them here on Monday, if anyone cares to look at it. In your pack today, I had an invoice from it's from V&V Assessing. They sent us an invoice for $1,500, wanting to know if we wanted to purchase the 6-inch imagery that the county refused to purchase in the spring and April. And Ed Vanderrees, who is the head of equalization in Hart, his V&V Assessing, decided to go ahead and purchase it. So he's spreading it out if anybody wants, rather than the 12-inch imagery, the 6-inch imagery, they could pay $1,500 to him. When I got the invoice, I quickly prompted back to him, what does this cover, because I hadn't received anything on it. I sent something to our administrator because, our assessor, because this is quite often used by the assessors. So I wanted to get her take on it. In the meantime, I sent something to the county administrator, and at 6:34 tonight, the county administrator responded back that the question relating to it was the county board had opted not to appropriate additional funds for the 6-inch imagery. Mr. Vandervees chose to upgrade the maps on his own and offer them to the township if they wanted to opt in. If not, they don't pay the invoice he provided and still have access to the maps without the upgrade. It's up to the township. So when I hear from the assessor, I will pass that on, and we can focus on this next month. But I wanted you to know that we did receive something back. I received something from Election Source Testing, and our testing schedule for the November 7th, 2023 election is going to be Wednesday, November 1st at 10 o'clock. They'll be doing the preliminary testing here on our machines, and the public accuracy will be at 11 o'clock. So that is on November 1st, getting ready for the November 7th election. I also wanted to update that we had refunds coming from the light being removed, in the building, by the building. And we kept being charged for it, and we've received, the update on that for a credit. And Frontier, we'd overpaid on them, and I was waiting, I have a whole stack of papers, but we did receive a $124.29, check back from them, and that clears us with Frontier. We should no longer have any issues with Frontier, so, I think that's it for correspondence.
Okay, anybody else have correspondence? Okay, auditor update, Amanda?
All right, so I have contacted like 15 auditors, and got quotes from 2. Some of them sent me an email that said ours generally start at 15,000, let me know if you wanna go forward, so I reached back out to him to get a quote, and he never got back with me. Some of them just flat out refused to get back with me. Another one said they started at 10,000 and go up from there. When I asked more specifics, they went in and said that they are too busy, they can't actually do that right now. I had another one call me back that said, we are more suited for bigger townships and counties, so our fees are gonna be way beyond what you're looking at. I'm like, well, give me a rough figure. They're like 35,000 is starting. So the 2 that I did get back was H&S in Fremont, and theirs is 10,500 for the audit for April 1st, 2022 through March 31st of 2023. And this is just an independent audit, not anything that has to be sent to the state. This was just for our reassurance that everything is in order. And then UHY LLP, they used to be Baird, Cotter, and Bishop. They sent us back a quote for $4,000. And what they do is called agreed upon procedures for our requirements for our peer review. So this is not exactly a full audit, which they said would be more costly, but I did give them a list of everything we wanted checked, and they said, with everything you want checked, it's gonna be $4,000. If we wanted to go further in depth, which I don't know what further in depth would have been, because I told them I wanted all of our accounts to balance, I wanted all of our, I wanted every single GL audited, to make sure everything was in the right place, and they said $4,000 for that. So, I have heard great things about Baird, Cotter, and Bishop. The reason why I'm hesitant about H&S is I contacted them 2 months ago. They called me back the next day, said, I will get you a quote on Monday, I'm not in the office today. Monday went by, they never got back with me. I called them again and said, hey, do we have an update on that quote? Oh, well, let me pass that message along to somebody else, and still no response from them. And a month later, I finally email somebody, and they're like, let me check on that. Oh, I don't know why this never made it to you, it's been sitting here for a while. So, if they're not interested in getting back with us for 2 months, are they going to be that thorough in our accounts? Plus they're $6,500 more than the UHY.
Are you gonna make a motion?
So I would make a motion that we hire UHY LLP, which is formerly Baird, Cotter, and Bishop, to do a agreed upon procedures audit for $4,000 for the 2022-2023 fiscal year.
Okay, I'll support that. So motion by Hunter, supported by David to hire UHY LLP for our auditing. Roll call?
John Clark,
Yes.
Rick Robertson,
Yes.
Amanda Hunter,
Yes.
Nancy Conley, yes. Joan David.
Yes.
You gonna notify them?
Yep, I will
then?
contact them in the morning, yep.
Next for old business, we had tabled, buying the 2 desks are out in the office. If we can get that passed and get those 2 desks in, and then Mike is gonna be doing the sidewalk, then we will be all done with everything, and both the sidewalk and the desks will be ARPA funds. And then we shouldn't have anything else for a long time. So I make a motion that we, purchase the last 2 desks for the office, not to exceed $1,300.
It's gonna
Well,
exceed,
plus freight.
yeah, I was gonna say, it's gonna exceed 13.
Oh, because of
freight, yeah.
Right, so,
And it was only, I don't remember how much it was to get everything before, it was only like 400 or something like that. But it's only the 2 desks, I'd have to look for an updated quote, but
okay. Okay, so I'll redo that. I'll make a motion to purchase the last 2 desks, with a limit of $1,800. And that's for the desk and shipping.
That's what should be.
Support.
Motion by Davis, supported by Robertson to purchase the last 2 desks. All in favor?
Can we open discussion? My biggest concern on them is still that pathway,
Yep.
we
We have a plan.
have an idea
okay?
that once that last desk is out, it'll be a lot easier to figure that out. If you change walls, your return would be facing the door, your counter would be facing into the room, and then Steve's and my desk would be on the other side.
Okay,
you
so
would
mine would
have-
be back in the corner where Tammy's used to be? Is that what you're saying?
Right where the 2 desks were before. You'd be right,
Okay,
just turn you around.
So they should be able to come in and write to you, and you could have them set down if they need to.
And if that doesn't fit, we can still play furniture Jenga and make it so that it works.
Okay,
And make it so
'cause-
that we have a spot for the elderly and infirm to sit, or a wheelchair.
Right.
I woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning with that idea.
Okay, if nothing else,
You want a roll call?
sure.
John Clark,
No.
Rick Robertson,
Yes.
Amanda Hunter,
yes.
She said yes.
oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Nancy Conley, yes. Joan David,
Yes.
that's 4-1.
Next for new business, Expo. When Rick was down, doing the buildings and all that, once he was in there doing all of it, there was extra damage on one of the buildings, and it was the wiring that was. And, we were supposed to be getting rain within the next 24 hours of that, and it would have had exposed wiring and all that. And so, I gave him the okay to get the extra materials that he needed, so he could get that fixed, so we wouldn't have more damage, and it ended up, costing an extra $450.
Make a motion to pay Martin's Construction the extra $450 because he also found extra damage that you hadn't counted on until you started ripping into it.
Yeah.
It was rotted right through, so he had to do some different work than what he had originally thought. So I make that motion.
Okay, I'll support it. Motion by Conley, supported by,
Yeah, discuss this.
yep,
I don't think it's right, because I think, Rick, you had your chance, you went down and looked at everything, right? Because you went down with Dennis. And at that time, when you put a quote in, that's what it should be. I disagree with you on it, because, and I think you're wrong, Joan, for accepting it, because it should have been brought to the board.
Well, I think it was a matter of
No,
timing.
that's still, I disagree on it, because that wasn't what his quote was.
Yeah, my issue with it is it just, specifically says any alteration or deviation from above specifications involving extra costs will be executed only upon written orders. And there were no written orders, it was just a verbal,
So more or less you took on another
it
job.
was just a verbal
You
okay.
didn't bid on.
Which I understand under the circumstances, but,
I mean, if it was done correctly like it should have been, I wouldn't have a problem, but no, I don't.
that's my piece on it, so
That's all I got.
if you wanna vote on it,
Roll call.
Sure.
Amanda Hunter,
no.
John Clark,
No,
Rick Robertson,
Yes.
Nancy Conley, yes. Joan David.
Yes. Next is technology upgrades.
So I provided a copy of my report to each of you sitting at your seat. The digital sign is fully installed, ready to go. It's been in service almost a month. I've changed it as needed. We don't keep anything on there that doesn't need to be on there. After the planning commission meeting last Thursday, it was changed to the next date before I left. As we go on and people have more like election information and other news notes, et cetera, that the township needs to put out there, I'm gonna put a half sheet form together so I have an idea of what the message is supposed to say and when it needs to go on and off, if there's a specific deadline for any of that. Otherwise, something might sit on there longer than it needs to, and it might be a violation of some policy or law somewhere. So I'll have that coming up. There's a surveillance camera monitor that was donated by a resident, township resident. It has been installed, and it shows, we borrowed a camera from Oxbow to bring here that was of a very high quality that wasn't serving a purpose where we had it at Oxbow. I underestimated. We had one here as a spare that I put in its place so there's no loss of coverage anywhere. It's installed on the roof where NCATS had their equipment, and you can see the entire parking lot up, and you can see the roof line of the building, so you can see, so we can see the recycle center more than anything else, so that your view isn't the window. And it gives you a little bit of advance warning when someone pulls into the parking lot. So right now it's hooked up with one of the old computers that's not very secure. I have the account that's on there locked down pretty tight. No one can't really do anything without a password, but someone with a little bit of sophistication could be able to break that. For security, Ubiquiti, the company that all of that goes with, sells something called a viewport. It plugs in with a HDMI cable on one end and an Ethernet cable on the other, and it doesn't have a keyboard or mouse or any way for you to mess with it. And that's all it does, is it shows what you tell it to show, which would be those cameras. It is.
Would that be all the cameras?
What's that?
Would that be all the cameras?
It can be. The thing with doing it on the computers, you can only see the one that you select, or you can see a split view of 6, which makes them all really small. The viewport has the ability to cycle through, like you could have 2 at a time and it'll cycle through every 10 seconds so you can see everything. That's $199.99 directly from Ubiquiti. It's the same price on Amazon, but you'll save on the sales tax, because Ubiquiti does not accept sales tax exemptions because they are a New York company. They don't accept sales tax exemptions from out of state.
Oh, so you're saying we would save if we go through Amazon?
Correct, yeah. So that's 1, that's 2 of. The switch that Shoreline installed when they put the cameras in originally, we've outgrown it. When I bought the Dream Machine, the new router, when we switched to Spectrum, it came with ports on it. They are also full. I would like to get all of the office computers and the printers off of wireless and onto a wired connection. Again, it's safer. It's harder to hack a wired connection than a wireless connection, especially because we have payment information and financials and account passwords and stuff that are quite easy to sniff if you're determined enough and skilled enough. We would replace that switch entirely, would leave it in storage in case we have a failure. I always like to have something to back me up so I can have at least basic functionality. That switch is $699.99 from Ubiquity. It is a little bit higher on Amazon. But again, you'd save on the sales tax versus buying it directly from Ubiquity. Like I said, my recommendation is to store that 8-port switch that we have currently, rather than try to sell it, just so we have a backup. Or in case rules change and you have to have a sterile network for your election equipment, that our system can do that. As part of getting everybody onto wired connection, I have plenty of cable left over from Oxbow to make everybody, to run cable to everybody's computers and printers, and to run cable for the phone system that was donated to us by another township resident. However, I wouldn't be running it through the wall because that's difficult. I would run Panduit affixed to the wall and paint to match. We just have to buy the Panduit and the jacks, or the boxes. I have a bunch of boxes and jacks left over from another job that are just sitting there collecting dust. I would be more than happy to just donate those to the township. The cost for the dressing and the conduit should be less than $300. I didn't really have a chance to put a proper guesstimate together, but I'll wait on that. I'll wait on that for approval for another meeting, just because I don't know I'm just kind of guesstimating right now. So at this point, the only two things that I see that we should do quickly are replacing that switch and adding that viewport, and then the cable project can be addressed later. That's all I have. Any questions?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Explain what's this really got to do for the township? I mean, I know a lot of your townships don't have this.
Yeah.
We didn't have this till you come aboard.
So there are standards out in the IT field,
Yeah.
especially for Nancy's accessing election information online. She's doing that on a wireless connection right now. That's not, you need for security and safety, especially if Amanda is running someone's credit card through the BSNA portal. It's encrypted, but if someone's talented and wants it badly enough, they'll figure out how
to
to
do that at home
We're gonna
too.
do it at home or
Because
wherever.
Most of the time, I do not accept credit card
Yeah,
payments.
but I mean, if you get that one or two that you do it here, if a wired connection is safer, it's harder, dang near impossible to hack a wired connection. It just keeps everything more secure. That viewport, it keeps things more secure. Right now, there's a keyboard and a mouse out there that anyone can just walk up and potentially, again, if they were intent enough and talented enough, could break something, and we don't want that. It's just it's peace of mind, and it follows the standards that the IT community has set out for itself.
Yeah, I kinda disagree with you, cause I mean, you charging like $25 an hour, I mean, it's gotta stop somewhere, cause I would say probably 90% of the people in the township don't know what's going on in here.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think we need all that.
Okay.
I mean, that's just my opinion, but it just,
Mike, how would that impact those of us that are running wireless, like on my laptop?
How do you mean?
We're going to hardwire.
Yeah.
Okay, for Nancy's computer,
Mhm.
Joan's computer,
Mhm.
Amanda's computer, then I come into the office with my laptop, are you gonna have a port?
There would be a port at the desk as well. It's just, any of the township equipment should not be used wirelessly. The wireless,
So then that's kinda defeats the purpose for working at home then.
working from home is, I'm not gonna say different, but you're not, the hall itself would be the target, especially on any of our computers here. It doesn't take that much to spoof a wireless connection. Homes are not that, they're not big of a target.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, again, if someone was intent enough on breaking through it would be an issue. But anyone, the wireless, how do I describe it in better terms? The wireless is segregated, so the public can come in and there's a guest network. It's completely sterile from the rest of the network. But if someone wanted to put the time in and brute force the regular wireless, now they have access to files. It's not possible the way I would have it set up for the wireless and the wired connections to meet. They would be on their own separate virtual network. They would only be connected by the internet, which is firewall. So
the network switch is basically your Ethernet ports, is what you're.
yes, yep.
Okay.
And
So-
in order to put 3 computers and 3 printers on it, along with the 6 cameras that we have installed, I can't do it on an 8-port switch.
And those,
Because one of those ports is the connection from the switch to the router. So that ties up one port right there.
so this is not necessarily it has to be decided on tonight, otherwise we're
Yeah, no, I mean,
out of
it's,
luck.
yeah, no. It's just, it's a really strong recommendation based on standards, which I can provide if you so desire.
I think going to wired is worth it. But I think there are more pressing issues. I think we need an IT policy in place before we do this type of stuff.
Okay.
I think we need to focus on policies before we just start adding and doing.
Fair.
That's my thought process on it. I don't see these as bad things.
Out of curiosity, that IT policy, what would you be outlining
Well, the IT policy currently only goes over cameras, doesn't it?
if there's an IT policy in force at all?
We never,
Oh, we don't
Okay.
have an
We
IT policy
Correct,
enforced.
We never-
so
we
that
never
policy
voted
that I
on that.
drafted is just the surveillance system.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
don't have one for anything else.
That's what I'm
we
saying,
never
is
voted on that.
feel like,
Correct, it's just a draft.
yes, and I feel like we need something regarding, this is who manages it, this is who,
Okay,
I feel like that needs to be done first,
smart. Okay,
my thought process.
fair.
I'm not opposed to this.
And
As
that,
far as the viewport goes, because that is a device that you said would make it so that it can circle that I don't see a problem with, because that you wouldn't need the other thing right now for, correct?
Correct. I'd have to double check and make sure I still have an open port with power over Ethernet. If not, I have an injector, but those are sketchy. I'll double check and get back to you.
Okay.
So could you end up with an IT policy for us for next meeting?
Sure.
Because I know we've got the one for the cameras.
And I
just
will
haven't anything.
roll that all.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would roll
Yeah.
that all in one,
No
so
sense in
everything IT, and I think in terms of the IT policy, it needs to go over, emails,
Oh,
like,
thank you for reminding me.
all of the IT related stuff needs to go in that policy as far as
Okay.
no using work email for personal,
Oh, sure, yeah,
like that type. I think we need an IT policy in place
nice and broad.
before
Okay.
we do
Do anything.
so much more technology stuff, because we are getting deeper into it, and that's great that we're getting deeper into it. But without a policy, it's just,
It can
oh,
get
we're doing this
unmanageable.
and we're doing this and we're doing this, and you're right, it's unmanageable.
That reminds me, bringing up emails, you should have received an email from me about the two-factor authentication. That's not something I did. Microsoft is forcing that on all of their 365 business accounts. And I've been able to push it off because it's only telling me, an admin of it, every time I log into the portal, and I say, remind me later. Eventually, I'm gonna run out of remind me laters. So if you do have an issue where you're trying to log into your township email, even through like the mail client, eventually it will log you out when that happens, and you have to log back in. Just get in touch. I'll get in touch with you before the live date, and we'll make sure that everyone's hunky-dory.
And my, one suggestion, the mail client that comes with Windows, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I think everybody should be upgrading to Outlook.
It's going to force you to soon anyway.
Because Outlook is just, I've had so many issues with the regular mail client.
Yeah.
It's not functional for Microsoft 365 accounts. We're paying for the Outlook.
You're
We
paying,
might as
you're
well
paying for it, you
utilize
may
it.
as well use it. Yep. And I'll be sure to include that in my IT policy. So with that, any other questions? Okay. So I will go ahead and say, let's hold off on purchasing that switch.
Is that viewport thing the one that is, like, can you walk back there right now and check it?
Yeah.
Just because I think, the other one's gonna take time, it's gonna take extra work and whatnot, but that one is something that we might be able to handle tonight.
Do you wanna work alongside with them doing the policy?
Yeah, I will do that.
While he's out doing that, I wanna make a motion that we,
I do have an open port that can do that.
I wanna make a motion that we, have Amanda work alongside Michael on coming up with the IT policy. That way, coming from two people, if one forgets something, the other one might pick it up, and so if I can have a second on that.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by David, supported by Hunter, to have Amanda work alongside of Michael on doing an IT policy and present it to the board for us to look at. Hopefully before the next meeting if possible, if not, we'll work with it. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 5-0.
And I would like to make a motion to go ahead with the purchase of the viewport for $199.99 from Amazon, since we've got the Amazon account where we can get it tax-free.
So you made a motion to buy the viewport?
Yep, the viewport for the surveillance monitor from Amazon.
I'll support that. So motion by Hunter, supported by David, to purchase the viewport through Amazon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 5-0. Okay. Next is our ordinances. The first one is our blight. Did everybody, the blight and the ORV are pretty much what they were.
The only change on the blight was we changed the penalty section to refer to the civil infraction ordinance.
Okay. So I make a motion that we approve the blight ordinance as presented.
Support.
Any
roll call.
discussion? Just on the blight.
Just on the blight, I never went through that with a fine tooth comb. I read through it, but I didn't go through it as finely as I did with the civil infraction ordinance. Again, I still want a meeting with the lawyer to be present to go through all of these, but, if you guys want to go ahead and do the blight tonight, we can. I have not picked through it for every little thing. So I will say that.
Okay,
I'll support it on her.
John supported?
Yeah.
Okay.
I already supported, but that's.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
so we're gonna vote on it,
On the blight ordinance only?
okay?
That was the motion.
Okay, the motion, Joan David made it, Rick Robertson seconded. John Clark,
Yes.
Rick Robertson,
Yes.
Amanda Hunter,
I'm gonna say no, just cause I haven't had a chance to go through every line. I read through it, but I didn't go
okay. Nancy Conley,
through it
yes.
thoroughly as I wanted to.
Joan David,
Yes. Okay, the next is the ORV. For the ORV, we're voting on is to move it to an ordinance by itself instead of where it's at right now.
It was in the light and public safety ordinance, and all we did was just take it as is out of that and put it as a separate ordinance.
Alright, so I make a motion that we move the ORV ordinance to its own separate ordinance.
Support.
Okay, motion by David, supported by Robertson to,
Do we need numbers for these?
I've got them,
Yeah, they're
I
on.
was gonna say, yeah,
They're
don't
all
these have to
on
be
here.
by resolution?
probably. Now that I think about it, if we're moving it, it probably does need to be.
Well, and just adopting it. We don't have to go through public hearing, but it still needs to be done by we need to adopt it via resolution. So, do we
So-
wanna redo the last one?
okay, I make a motion by resolution to move the ORV ordinance to a separate ordinance from everything else.
Support.
Motion by David, supported by Robertson to make a resolution to move the ORV ordinance.
By resolution 10/17/23. Move it to its own. John Clark,
Yes.
Amanda Hunter,
Again, I've read through it, but I haven't gone through it with a fine tooth comb, so no.
I don't think there was any changes, I didn't see any changes in the wording,
No.
And that's fine, but I there's been a lot of, typos and
Okay,
issues with that in just all of our ordinances.
okay.
So I've read through it, but I didn't get a chance to go through and make sure every T was crossed and every I was dotted, so that's why I'm saying no.
Rick Robinson,
Yes.
Nancy Conley, yes. Joan David,
Yes. Next is our civil,
We're gonna have to, Joan, we need to redo the blight.
Yeah, we need to redo the blight as a
Oh.
resolution.
So you're gonna have to have a
okay,
motion
I
to rescind.
rescind my motion on the blight ordinance.
and turn it into a resolution.
And yes, I'd like to turn the blight ordinance into a resolution.
Support.
Motion by David, supported by Robertson to turn the blight ordinance into a resolution.
John Clark,
Yes.
Rick Robertson,
Yes.
Amanda Hunter,
No,
Nancy Conley, yes. Joan David,
Yes. Next is the civil infraction ordinance. I'm gonna request that we table that until the next meeting, as not everybody was able to go through it, and there was a lot of changes in that. If people are able to get through that within the next week, then we can call a special meeting to go over that and to vote on it. Otherwise, we will have to wait till November, but hopefully everybody would have time to do that, and then just let me know.
I
And
did
then,
notice one thing, right off the bat. 2.3 says municipal civil infraction.
yeah.
So there's still some
Language,
language issues we're gonna have to
yeah.
change,
Yeah, that was on that new
just
one.
go through and highlight.
so.
So if people get a chance to go through that, like I said, just let me know, and then maybe we can set up a special meeting.
realized again, you cannot take effect for 30 days till after. So now we're looking at,
We got it yesterday morning, Steve.
actually, it's Sunday night.
No.
You sent it at 12:09 AM.
12:09,
Was it?
and I was in bed, so I didn't.
So, it was 12:09 AM. It was less than 48 hours before the
And
meeting.
Amanda, we got the reply from the attorney on the 28th
Okay,
of September, and I heard nothing back.
You said
Okay.
on the
all
29th.
right, you guys, so
We're gonna table it,
we're tabling it, and if you get a chance to get through it,
let Joan know.
just let me know, and we'll do a special meeting, otherwise, it'll be next month. Next is the approval of bills. I make a motion that we approve the bills as presented.
Support.
Okay, motion by David, supported by Robertson to, pay the bills as presented, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Next, the reports, MTA, I already gave a little bit of a synopsis, so, our next meeting is November 29th at Greenwood at 6 o'clock. I know most meetings start at 7, but that's at 6. Next is Planning Commission. Michael, do you have anything?
A lot, actually. We had a meeting last Thursday where Jeff Easler from McKenna came and gave us a introductory look at the preliminary data from the survey. He did not have all of the data compiled by the time the meeting, or time to leave for the meeting rather, came around. Nor did he have all of the map data and the boards, but we went through them all. And he just kind of touched on the numbers. He did send me yesterday the completed completed results, which I will be passing along to you. I meant to do it today, but life took another turn. We had two very, very good public engagement workshops that helped shape a lot of the survey responses and the board responses. We had 17 total township residents, unique township residents, I should say, because we did have some come to both meetings, that came and gave their discussion, came and gave us some ideas, told us what they liked, what they didn't like, where they wanted us to go, and what they absolutely did not want us to do. We got a little bit of that. And it was just a good time all around. It was a very low pressure situation for everybody. We really enjoyed that. Our next meeting is the second Thursday in November, the date of which escapes me at the moment.
November 12th.
Thank you, November 12th.
No,
Is it?
November 9th. The second Thursday?
You're right.
November?
November 9th.
It'd be the 9th.
October 12th was the
It was the 12th is the board meeting. Yeah. So yes, the 9th.
No, the 21st is the board meeting.
Yeah, no, the 12th was this month's meeting.
Oh, yeah. It's been one of those months. So that'll be our next meeting. We aren't sure yet if we're going to move on to the next steps with McKenna, which will be taking another map of the township and saying, where do we want what? The zoning map is basically what it would be, is the future land use map, I believe is what Jeff termed it, but it's the zoning map. So, it's just going to be gathering.
Not actually. The future land use map, is what you're aspiring to.
Got it.
Your zoning map is part of your ordinance.
Right, but I mean,
So
it would be,
until you,
one would formulate the other. That's what I-
eventually.
That's what I took it as, so I'm still learning. Speaking of which, I'm going to be enrolling in the winter months in Michigan State University's Citizen Planner course. So I can have, especially during this transitionary period where we're basically starting over, I'd like to have a little bit of knowledge under my belt, so I'll be doing
Isn't
that.
Sorry.
I'll be doing that over the winter.
Isn't that something that we normally have paid for in the past?
And that was gonna be my question was, do I need to pay for it up front and after completion turn in the reimbursement? Or is that something the township just does? That was gonna be a question I was gonna ask you when I came in for office hours today, but that didn't happen.
No, we'll
I'll-
mention
I'll
that under
look-
board discussion.
I'll look back at what we did with Jay and Mary.
Okay.
You know, I know we paid for theirs.
Yeah,
so-
but did they
I know
pay
we paid
before
for
or
it, but I didn't know
after?
it was reimbursing.
Didn't they have to make sure that they attended so many of them before it got?
We
I'm
paid
doing
for
the
them.
self-guided one.
That's what they did.
I'm not gonna be doing the one where I have to sit at Zoom for
No.
2.5 hours a night.
No,
So
Oh,
just, I don't
okay.
know if that makes a difference.
Okay.
What we did with them is we paid for their
For the
class
class
up front.
right,
And then upon completion, then we paid them for
When
their
they got
time,
a
for their
certificate,
stipend,
yes.
so.
When you
But
get
now
your
we don't do the
certificate-
stipend for training, we do an hourly
Right,
rate.
right.
But it
And
would
we
be
did with them-
$15 an hour for.
We did them an hourly rate on that too, I think,
I think we might have.
yeah.
Okay.
Cause
But
they,
we would pay for that up front,
cause they
which is
did the
something that
2-hour guided,
Yeah.
the 2-hour nightly
Okay.
What's that class called again?
Citizen planner.
Thank you.
citizen planner. And it might not hurt to check to see if any other, planning commission members would like to do it. that
I will,
weren't
I'll
on
reach
planning
out to
commission.
I'll reach out to
Cause
everyone.
Mary's the only one that's on there that has done that now.
When does it start?
It starts whenever I register. It's self-guided.
Okay,
It's
so we
self-paced, it's
can,
self-guided.
we could do this next month at our board meeting next month, so we have an idea of everyone then.
Right, yeah, if you have others that wanna do it.
Okay.
Look at you,
Okay, anything else?
I'll be sure to mention, like Steve just said, I'll be sure to put it on the agenda for our November planning commission meeting, so I can have an idea who wants to do it before. we
Sure.
get to it. No, I don't have anything else.
Okay. Marijuana enforcer?
All the inspections have been done for the month. Harvests have been going good. Trying to QMI, they started on their new greenhouse, they've got that all framed in. I was at Andre's out here on, what is it, I keep forgetting, High Cloud. And, Andre's, I know his name, High Cloud, did the inspection, they're running full tilt on their, lab. They're starting to get power and stuff put in their new barn, nothing's in it, so I did make sure there's nothing, they're not in violation of anything there. They're working on getting the fence people set up and stuff so they can start getting that done.
So we got the trees in.
Got the trees in, yep,
Okay.
the berm and the trees are all in. Other than that, that's pretty much it.
I do have a question. I happened to drive by the one out on 200th the other day, I believe that's True North. They do not have trees around their perimeter, which is in our ordinance.
They have trees on the east side,
Not on the roadside.
that's parking lot, they won't be able to have any trees on parking
You
lot.
mean on the gravel?
On the gravel
acre?
side, yeah, I think so.
There's trees that are already planted on
On
the
the
limbo.
blacktop there is,
Huh?
on the blacktop there is.
There's trees.
Even I
There's
was
trees.
out there,
There's trees.
yeah.
But I went by the one that was on the gravel, and that side does not have trees planted along the roadside there.
Oh, I can't.
I mean, that's their whole parking lot. And I know on the partway down, there are trees that are natural trees there. But I don't know how we can put trees in a parking lot.
You can't put it in a parking lot, but I'm saying right outside the fence, between the fence and the road, there are no trees.
So
And per our ordinance, we're supposed to have 6-foot trees.
it's all their parking lot is the whole section from the end of their building, which is, there's no fence, to the end of their further building, their gates, can't have any trees there. That's all
I'll
parking
take
lot. And then
pictures
you get
and
down
I'll
to the
send them
last
to you.
barn, there's a natural barrier of trees. And then you got a gate, and then you got the pines. I guess I can look into it, but I don't see where you're coming from.
I'll take pictures and I'll send them to you.
Yeah, you can't put trees in their parking lot.
And I understand that, but a parking lot is not between the fence and the road. It's
You got
covered
right
in
away-
grass
You got so
anyway.
far right away from the road, and if you come from the right of way to where they can plant, away from the right of way, you're gonna be in their parking lot, guaranteed, guaranteed.
Okay. I drove by in the middle of the day, there were no cars in the place that I was looking at, so like I said, I'll take pictures, I'll
So what,
send them to you.
so what is the right of way? Is it 75 feet, ain't it? In the center of the road? And
Right away is
33.
33.
33, yeah.
33 from the center of the road, which
Right.
puts you,
Yeah, I know what you're
And then
talking,
they-
I don't think I know where man is talking, I don't think there is any trees, but like you say, that's a lot of parking,
yeah,
but I know where you're.
That's where they park? Is
They
that-
park.
On Baker, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where
that's
they
their
park,
whole parking lot is from
from Baker Road,
From-
from Baker.
all the way to the corner of their building to the east, all the way to the other building, plus you got a section that you can't because it's their entranceway, which is,
It's the gate,
yeah, the gate, which is probably close to 40 feet. I mean, I can measure it, and then there's more parking on the other side of that. Then there are some natural trees, and then there could be a small section down but there's another gate down there.
Well, double check it.
Yeah, we'll look into
I
it,
will,
we'll bring
I will,
back for next month.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Cemetery?
Yeah, I had, no funerals for the month, and just working on, fall leave coming up. So, I got the water shut off, that goes in there. Then they're gonna remove the flowers, I know the sign up there says the 15th of October,
Okay.
but we always wait till, what we put in the paper, the
Yeah.
28th or something.
Yeah, we
November.
extended it to 28th because, there's only been a handful of people that
So we
started.
won't touch the flowers until then.
Okay.
And my flags, we leave out till after Veterans Day.
Are the Girl Scouts gonna help pull the flag?
Yeah, John and I usually take them.
I know you do.
Sometimes they help, and they always put them in, but sometimes they help take them out, sometimes not, so.
But I shut the water off October 1st, because we had some people all summer long loading up these big 5-gallon buckets of water daily, all summer long, so I just turned it off October 1st. So. Sometimes they come out there with a big pickup with a big old tanker in the back, and on a garden hose to it, yeah. Kind of taking advantage.
Are they drinking it?
I don't know what they're doing, to be honest with you.
Well, the one person, I think, is using it for bathing and
Yeah.
cooking because their well went bad, but it's gonna wreck our well if people,
I mean, there
Keep
was
doing
no
it.
flowers that needed water at that time, so I decided to turn it off.
okay, thank you.
Sure, I can send it back to me.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay, zoning?
sorry, Mike.
You already got it.
I already heard the spiel too.
What,
I already heard the spiel.
Yes, you did.
Oh, from me.
So, we had, 3 new permits last month, and we've already had 4 this month, and I think got another 2 at least before the month is over, so we're getting close to 30 again. So it's kinda nice. I thought things would kinda die down because of the interest rates going up, but people are still building. So, including new houses. I think we're gonna wind up with either 4 or 5 new houses at least this year in the township, so I think
Nice.
we're doing pretty well. I wanted to clarify something. I discussed this at the planning commission. In the first, well, actually it'd be the second column, where it says number of inquiries. Those are folks who are calling who are not residents of the township. Those are folks who are calling saying, gosh, I'm looking at a piece of property in the township, and I'm thinking, I wanna do this, or I wanna do that, or is this allowed or that allowed? So that number, that 15 inquiries is not all the phone calls I get. It's just people who are interested in the township from elsewhere who are calling in.
And I think I probably refer a half a dozen to a dozen on a weekly basis to you, of people that call me, and it's just best to send them to you without me confusing them with something that maybe not be right on Hoyle, so.
Yeah, so that, just to kind of give you an idea, you know, it's probably, if I put it all together, there's probably, you know, easily, I get 40 phone calls a month. So just to put that into perspective, and that's really kind of where we're at.
Okay, thank you. Next is public comments. Can you name, please?
Ken Erdman, 8814 East Buchanan Avenue. Well, you probably know I'm here.
Yep.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's happened. Well, they got a pretty road out there, 192nd, but the dips are still in there at the bottom of the hill before it appears. And we'll fix that. But we still got people speeding down our road. And it's 25, speed limit is 25. If I'm out there, I let them know, because I point at the sign. And, but even the school bus driver, we gotta slow her down every now and then. But I'm just not sure why people have to be in such a hurry. It's one way in and one way out. Any chance of getting a speed bump out there?
Not on a road, we can't do that.
That's what we were told.
Okay, by the county?
It's a hazard.
Yeah, well, speeding cars aren't an answer.
Yeah.
The problem is in their snow blanket, the way that they plow.
Yeah.
The only way,
I understand.
yeah.
And hopefully we get that road fixed here soon. But the bad thing about that, they're gonna speed even faster because it's not gonna be so bumpy.
Yeah, we got potholes on 198 coming up to East Buchanan. I mean, they go by and they'll fix 2 or 3, but they'll leave 2 or 3, and it's like, come on, guys, fix the holes.
That's
Would you-
job security.
And I don't think this is something that we could request, but have you called the sheriff's department to see if they could put a RoboCop out there with a speed?
Oh, we talked to
Trap
state
sign?
police, but the state police said the speed limit's 50 out there, and that guy must be from somewhere else.
Well, normally on roads like that, the speed limit is 55.
So there's a 25 there?
That's 20.
I know you said that before, but.
My only other thought
It's one way
would be
in
that-
and one way out. It's speed limit 25. As soon as you turn the corner off 198,
Is there like
there's a
a
speed
dead
limit
end?
25 right there.
My
Is
only
it a
other
dead
thought would
end?
be a flashing
It's
light.
a dead
It
end.
is,
On the-
normally they put a sign up, it's a dead end or.
Yeah, there's no dead
Well,
end.
There's no dead end.
Buchanan comes off of 198, you know, goes east, then it curves onto Hoppy Road there, you know, over by,
We're telling them.
by Tammy, where Tammy lived,
Okay.
up there. You know, and then you have, what we'll call it, Ensign and Harmony that come off on the right, and is it Spring Hill that goes up on the left?
We can check into some things again, but it helps when citizens call the road commission, that way they're getting it from more than one. So the more they hear, then the more likely they're gonna act on
Yeah.
some of that.
Well, I'll talk to that lady again. Maybe they can at least get the road patched.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, they've been by there, I don't know how many times this year, but there's still a hole, a hole, another hole.
okay.
All right, any other public comments?
Dennis David, Loop Road. I forgot to mention that Joan and I put autistic child signs out on Zimmer.
Oh, okay.
And we got them installed, and then we had to order 2 more posts for 192nd, so they're supposed to be in Thursday, so.
For 176?
Yeah, for 176, I'll be able to put those in.
But the ones on Zimmer are up.
They're already in, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I have one. Michael Jansma, Loop Road. I'm actually talking as a member of the Hesperia Chamber of Commerce and the Light Up the Park Subcommittee. We have our event scheduled for Friday, November 24th. Yes, Black Friday happens 6 out of 7 years. It ends up on Black Friday. At 6 p.m., Santa will be arriving fresh from the North Pole on one of Rumsey's horse-drawn wagons at 6 p.m. sharp. Lights will be turned on by Santa, with Santa in attendance, I should say, shortly thereafter, and hope to see as many people there as possible. The beautification committee will be doing more than just 100 ornaments, so maybe they won't give them all out in 4 minutes flat this year. We have a lot of activities planned. We have a couple food trucks coming. Wesco brings their popcorn and hot cocoa. The Masons do the cookies. There's events there. So, and yes, Mr. Farber is a part of that as well.
Yeah.
And it's a great event. Hope to see as many people there as possible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, board discussion.
I have a couple things to bring up. Just a little update on the recycle center. Seems to be going well. We had in the first 3 weeks, 153 people dump from all the entities. We have the clipboard out there for everybody to sign. I haven't been going out every time this week. Monday I kind of let it go a little bit to see, but most people know what they're doing and they're doing it good. We had 4 dumps, and so I'll be getting a bill on those, but they were told to dump only if they're 3/4 of the way full or full. So we did get press on the front page of the Oceana Herald with our press release. And then the Oceana Echo also carried our press release with a picture. And then as I was talking about all of that, Michael was at his desk and said, well, why don't you send it into MTA for their magazine, because they're starting to focus on townships and things that are going on in the townships. So I sent the press release to MTA Magazine, and within about 5 minutes, she bopped back and asked if we had any pictures. So I sent her some more pictures, because between Joan and I had taken pictures at different stages. So I sent those, and then she came back to want to know some history of the township and things that were going on here and things that were happening and what people come into the township for. And so I sent her some more information, and today she sent me another email wanting to have a picture of the river and the lakes and a picture of our building. We had sent the new parking lot saying we had tied in the recycle center grant with the ARPA funds for updating our parking lot and our sign, and that was included in the first picture. So Joan took some pictures tonight. We're going to send them in the morning. I don't know what's happening, but they wanted a lot of information about us, so that's a good thing. Early voting, we did have one meeting that we talked about early voting, and we discussed here and made a motion to, for the presidential primary, the 9 days of early voting will take place at the Oceana County building. It'll be in the jury room. If you've ever been there, when you come in, go through security, you turn left, and the board room is back here, and in front is the jury room, and that's where the 16 townships are going to take turns. We signed up for working, and our workers are going to be across cut of the county. You'll be working for the county at that point for those 9 days and following all the state rules. Two of our township clerks are heading up this along with the county clerk. Stephanie Van Sickle from Elbridge will be the chairperson. She's very knowledgeable in all kinds of voting and balloting. And then Cora Conley from Greenwood is her vice chairman. And so we're very confident in the roles that they're playing, and along with Amy and Melanie, That is where the early voting will take place for all townships in Oceana County. That's it.
I've got a few things as well. So first off, I did hear back from, TextMyGov regarding the going to a 1-year contract versus a 2-year contract. But the more people that I talked to in the county, and this is why I didn't, or in the township, and this is why I didn't put it on the, have it put on the agenda. Most people are like, don't waste the money. It's just, it's not worth wasting the money on. So, that's kind of the feedback that I've gotten from the community. But they did make it for a 1-year contract if you guys are interested. But my suggestion at this point is kind of let it drop. We'll look into it again in the future if we decide it's necessary. So that's my comments on that one. I did go to an election training and security cameras were brought up. Because there should be no recording in the voting area. Our internal camera does, view the voting area on election day. So on election day, our internal camera should be turned off. If we're processing in the AV ballots in the office area, that one should also be turned off.
We've been processing.
As long as you're
out
processing them out here, then you're fine, that one can stay on. But obviously, all the other ones can stay on, but for voter secrecy, we need to turn that one off. Trying to think, what other things I had, just coming back to, I really think we need to update our policies. You guys have heard me beat this horse 1,000 times. Our policies, just all of them in their entirety, need updated. We really need policies to be able to fall back on, so if anybody says, well, why did you do that? Well, it says right here.
Well, I think we talked today, we were suggesting that we're kind of waiting for the
Yeah.
master plan.
Yep.
And then we'll be able to attack a lot
And
of other things.
one thing at a
Ordinances,
time, you know, I
policies.
understand we've got a lot going on, so
Right,
I just wanted to reiterate that.
yep.
Which I am compiling a list because there are a lot of things that the township has never had policy on, and even if it's just some little thing, we gotta have policies on everything, so.
Yep. And that's one of the things that I've noticed too, is that when there's policies that we are supposed to have that I cannot locate. Doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean we don't have them, but I cannot locate them, so.
I don't think we have a lot of them.
There's a lot of things that regardless, we may have to be rushing through.
Right.
To get into place, because by law, we're supposed to have them, and we may or may not. But if we can't find them, that's not a good sign. Another thing that I had heard of, and I'm thinking about looking into, was what's called positive pay. It is basically where we give our bank, the check register, and only the checks that are on that check register would be approved for the month. It's just a more secure way of, verifying that nobody's falsifying our checks or anything like that, which I know we've never had happen, but it is a thing that banks offer. I did look, Shelby State has offered it. I have not had a chance to contact them regarding it. I kind of wanted to mention it to you guys and see if you guys had any objections before I talk to them about it and bring back a report for next month.
Talk to them and bring it
Yeah,
back.
we need the security.
May I? That, does that, if it's like just the check number, like if that check number is presented, if it's in the register, they pay it, regardless of the amount?
No,
Okay.
they check it with the amount, so
Good, okay.
that is the thing, is it's checked, the check number has to match the amount on that thing, so there's gonna be no washing of checks and
Good.
reissuing or anything, so that's what it is, it's just an additional security feature that banks offer, that I found out that Shelby State Bank has it listed on their website,
Nice.
so I'd like to look into that, bring back more information next month.
Yeah, please do.
And I think that's all I got for right now.
And then I just have, I had gone to the supervisor conference, and as many conferences that I've been on over the last 40 years, I think that's the best one I ever did, and I was kind of sad that it ended, because there was so much good information out there, and it was nice seeing people from other townships that are going through some of the same things, and we were able to brainstorm and all that, and so hopefully that next year they do this again, and they, you know, and we look into sending treasurer and clerk and that to those two. It's very beneficial in that, so I appreciate the board approving me to go to that, because it was really good. If there's nothing else, I make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Okay, motion by Davis, supported by Hunter,